roll the dice on your own life and bet on yourself. I'm Mark Smelly Bell, and you're catching me on my 10-minute walk. I did a video recently called Do More, Be More. In that video, I described how I would love for all of you to roll the dice on your own life and bet on yourself. I'm going to explain why I believe that, why that's a philosophy of mine that I've adopted, and I'm also going to explain how I think you can do it. Let me first off say how I think you can do it. We live in a time, we live in a day and age, we no longer have 7 degrees of separation. The divide between what my dad did as a kid and what my dad did growing up, and the college my dad went to, and the different things that he was going after and working at IBM and stuff, it was so far removed from him ever rubbing elbows with his idols. For him to ever have an opportunity just to catch a glimpse of a Muhammad Ali or a Mickey Mantle, or in the 50s, well, my dad was born in 1948, in the 60s and stuff like that, as my dad was growing up, those possibilities, they didn't exist the way they exist today. Now you can follow your favorite person on social media, these kind of people that you view and you interpret as being larger than life, and you can see that they're coming to your hometown. You can see that they're coming to Sacramento. You can see that they're coming to North Carolina. You can see that they're going to be in Florida. And you have opportunities to meet these people. People share more of their lives, and you can kind of, Mark Smelly Bell is downtown Davis every single day. You want to meet me? Come walking around downtown Davis between 6:30 and 7 a.m. every day, and you will bang into me. Like, I'm there every day. Between Phil's Coffee, Starbucks Coffee, the Arboretum behind McCooney, I'm there all the time. Come see me, come say hello, come say what's up. People have in the past. Some people even ended up working for me for a little while. Pretty cool, that works out. The degrees of separation are a lot less. You can contact people. I mean, it's going to be hard to get to The Rock. It's going to be hard to get to Joe Rogan. It'll be hard to get to some of the really high-level, top-tier people, but you get what I'm saying. On top of that, and aside from these celebrities, you can hang out with material experts that are the best in the world, some of the best in the world. Right here in Sacramento, California, we have some really, really amazingly talented artists. And if you wanted to, you could reach out. You could reach out to some of these artists via Instagram, via Twitter, via social media, and find a way to go hang out with a David Garibaldi. You could be an understudy of that person. Let's say you're a photographer. Does David Garibaldi need people to take pictures of his artwork? He does. Are you a fan of Mark Smelly Bell? Do we need photographers? Do we need videographers here? Yes, we do. The ability to communicate with people that are in your field, that are material experts, is through the roof. This is why I advise that you roll the dice on yourself, bet on your own life, bet on yourself, because you have a lot of control over what you can do, and you have a lot of control over what you can learn, and you have full control over what you can think. You can think to yourself, when I start to do this, and once I get involved in that, I'm going to work my way to get that new Tesla truck. I'm going to work my way to get whatever the thing is. Could be something convenient, could be something entertaining, could be something that may not change your life and make your life necessarily better, but it could just be fun. It could be fun for you and your family. Get a bigger TV, get better internet, I don't know. Who knows what you can get. One way to roll the dice on your own life and to ensure that you're going to be successful and that you're going to roll what you need to roll is to roll with like-minded people. You need to be around savages. When I wanted to be a boxer, I went to Kevin Rooney. Kevin Rooney trained Mike Tyson. When I wanted to be the best powerlifter in the world, I went to Louis Simmons of Westside Barbell, the strongest gym that ever existed. I call my gym the strongest gym in the West because I would never call my gym the strongest gym in the world, because that belongs to Louis Simmons. And until he dies, until Westside crumbles, no one can say anything else, in my opinion. Don't be afraid to go to the best in the world. Nowadays, the best in the world, they're all over YouTube. They're all over the place. You want to know the best person in nutrition? I study nutrition maybe not every day, probably about 5 days a week. I listen to a TED Talk of somebody talking about nutrition. You could do the same thing with psychology. You could do the same thing with photography. You could do the same thing with art, playing the piano. My son's learning how to play the guitar off of YouTube. You have the ability is right there. It's all right there for the getting. And if you can take that opportunity to maybe potentially figure out how to meet some of these people, maybe you could. And I know what you're saying. I know what you're thinking. Oh, Mark, duh, it's easy for you because you're Mark freaking Bell. But before I got here, I went to Kevin Rooney. Before I got to be any sort of name, I was not a name in powerlifting. I wasn't a name in fitness when I went to Louis Simmons. I wasn't a name in powerlifting or in fitness when I went to Dave Tate. I wasn't a name in the strength community when I went to a seminar that Mel Siff and Louis Simmons did together, and there was 6 or maybe 7 now NFL strength coaches that are in the audience with me at some crap hotel in Las Vegas. We didn't even really know if they were supposed to have a seminar there. We were in like the boiler room for some reason. But I was there with some of my friends, well, they're now friends, of some of the best strength coaches that, if you guys know anything about strength coaches, you would know something about all these types of people. Mark Uyama is one of them. He was with the 49ers for a decade. He was with the Minnesota Vikings. Coach House as well. James the Thinker Smith. J.L. Holdsworth. The list of people that were in the audience that day was crazy. Why am I bringing that up? How does that relate to all this? They were nobodies right alongside of me when I was a nobody sitting in that audience. But they were hungry to get better. And they were going to safeguard. They were going to protect their future by learning and by diving in and by becoming a material expert, by learning from Mel Siff, who wrote the book SuperTraining, which this gym is named after, proudly named after. Mel Siff died. He gave me the SuperTraining book for free. I don't know if you guys know the story. Mel Siff gave me the book for free. I was at that seminar and I was looking through the book and he was like, hey, you think you're going to purchase the book? And it's like $80 or something. And it looked like a Bible. I never read a book. I'm kind of thumbing through it and no intentions of buying it. I'm just trying to steal information real quick. As we're at intermission, he's like, hey, you thinking about buying the book? And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, I gotta go to the ATM, and I had no money. Couldn't go to the ATM and get any money out of it. Insufficient funds is what my ATM always told me. He said, hey, you know what? You think you'll put it to good use? I said, yeah, you know what? I will put it to good use. He's like, all right, you can have it. I was like, huh? And so I kept it. A few weeks later, unfortunately, Mel Siff died. I don't even know what it was of or whatever. But when I was in Woodland, California, and I was in this gym called Body Construction Zone, and we had the makings of a team. Sat down with the team at the end of a workout one day, and they said, hey, we kind of have a team now, and we're going to do our first competition coming up. Like, everyone's like, what's the name of the team? And I said, SuperTraining. And they were like, well, that's a dumb name. I said, well, of course you think it's dumb. I just came up with it just now. But once the name stuck for a little while, then people started to dig it and people started to like it. But anyway, a lot of these things, a lot of these stories don't ever happen if I don't just have enough confidence in myself to bet on myself a little bit here and there, to take opportunities to go to meet some of the best people in the world. I was super nervous going to these things. You guys have all these same opportunities. They're right there for you to get. There's a couple other pieces of this that are really important. So if you've been following for this long, hang in there and stay with me. You need to safeguard yourself away from excuses. First of all, you need to work excuses out of your vocabulary. And you need to zoom out a bit and start to kind of notice, like, that is an unhelpful service to me. For me to blame it on my wife, for me to blame it on my brother, for me to blame it on my parents, for me to blame it on the government. I hear people do that all the time. To blame it on anything else other than what's inside here and what's inside here is a giant global misconception. Everything, and I don't like to talk in absolutes, but every once in a while you got to. Everything that falls underneath that lies in a misconception. It's a misconception that you're unable to do something because of X, Y, or Z. You don't understand. I can't really do a low carb diet. I'm Italian. Okay, let's backtrack a second here. I understand what you're saying. Italians do enjoy pasta. Italians do enjoy bread. But there's no laws governing you away from being able to go on a low carb diet. You might think for yourself that would be very difficult for me to adopt or to adapt to because I'm not used to it. I hear people do this all the time. These are all misconceptions. We are living under a lot of misconceptions. We're living under lies that we tell to ourselves and that we justify over and over and over and over again. You got to safeguard yourself against other people, and you got to safeguard yourself against the most important person that you'll ever meet in your life, and that is yourself. The greatest interview that you will ever do, the greatest podcast you'll ever hear, is the podcast that you do with yourself. Grab a mirror. You want the most entertainment you've ever had in your life? Grab a mirror and start talking to yourself and start breaking down some of these misconceptions about how you can't get in shape, how you can't make more money, how you can't be more successful, how you can't roll the dice on yourself, and how you can't win. Once you start to say these things out loud, you go, wait a second. It might be kind of hard for me to win, but mathematically I can't lose all the time either, right? You can't physically lose all the time, right? There's got to be ways out of some of this trapping that we're doing to ourselves. So why don't we just take on this extreme ownership that we hear people talking about and that we hear other successful people talking about? Why not take on the responsibility and safeguard ourselves against those things? You should safeguard yourself against many different things in your life. Protect your own work, protect the work that you're doing, and make sure that you are a comprehensive unit that is able to take care of everything that you need to take care of so that no one else can interfere. They can't mess up your work. At your work, if you're trying to rely on Joe over here and Joe fucks it up every time, don't fall for that anymore. Joe kind of just always screws us up. So when my employer comes to me and says, hey, where's this project? I can't say Joe messed it up. I'm now going to take on the responsibility of what Joe's doing, and we can address this in some sort of meeting or some sort of professional way, and we can communicate like men, and we can have a discussion, and we can figure out what's going on with Joe, why he won't get this thing done. But it does you no good to pass blame on anybody for anything. If you guys come at me and like, hey man, where's the ingenuity? Where's the innovation? Like, I haven't seen anything new from Slingshot in a long time. There's no new colorways. There's no new products. There's no, and I'm just like, yeah man, my manufacturer, you know, they're so slow. That doesn't help anything. That doesn't serve us. Why don't I safeguard myself away from that and say this to you instead? Say, well, you know, I think, if I'm being honest, I think I miscommunicated to my manufacturer, and so we didn't get it right. I'm going to take the blame for that, but I went to 2 people that are local. I went to a couple people overseas. Now we have 3 or 4 people working on this project, and the cool news is it's probably going to be better than anything we ever had before, because we got so many different people working on it, and we got so many different versions of it coming at us that we don't even know what's hitting us. That's exactly what's going on with me right now with some of the projects that we have coming out from Slingshot, some of the supplements that we have coming out from Slingshot. I know that these videos are long, and I know that you guys are like, dude, can you say something in 4 minutes? Can you say something in 8 minutes? I can't. I can't do it, because this content doesn't work that way. I'm trying to teach you how to be great. And if you wanted to be good, I can probably throw together a 2-minute video and teach you how to be good. But if you want to be great, it's going to take a long ass time. It's going to take a lot longer than listening to some 30-minute video or some 40-minute video that I pump out. It's going to take the greatest effort of your life. And it's going to take a combination of two things that most people aren't willing to do. What are the two things that most people aren't willing to do? They're not willing to go the extra mile, right? Some people aren't even willing to take an extra step, but they're not willing to go the extra mile. And the second thing that people aren't willing to do is they're not willing to miss out on shit. So you have to go the extra mile in one respect, but because you went the extra mile, it takes you a certain amount of minutes, takes you a certain amount of time to go an extra mile, takes you a certain amount of effort. Now you don't have time to hang out with your friends. You don't have time to go out for a beer. You don't have time to put your feet up and relax. You don't have time for a lot of these things. So it's a sacrifice, and it's you having FOMO, the fear of missing out, against some things, but it's also you understanding that you're going to have to pour your heart and your soul into stuff so hard that it almost makes you want to puke. Literally, I'm not even messing around. When I get into my Tesla over there, pew, I'm really grateful that that thing drives itself and has a mind of its own, because while my mind is somewhat occupied on the road, I take an opportunity to have that vehicle, that transportation item, be my classroom. And I'm learning stuff in there all the time, all the way to the point where from 8 a.m. until around 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. every single day, I'm talking non-stop like this. But I got an important message to pump out to the world. And I got important stuff to share with you guys each and every day. And so this is why I do this shit. This is really important to me. And that's why I come with it every single day. And that's why I talk so much about these different things. Utilize all these different things I mentioned to you today. Utilize social media to your advantage to be able to reach some of the top people. And if you can't get to celebrities, get to the material experts that are in whatever space it is, whatever thing that you're interested in. Also, get around like-minded people. Get around savages. Get around people that are higher up than you. I mean, people get so weirded out about thinking of things that way. But get around people that have a much higher income than you. Get around people that have a much higher, a much larger vocabulary than you. Get around people that are smarter, sharper, quicker, stronger, faster, better at every single way. Maybe they're a little taller, maybe they're a little bit fitter. Get around these people and start to understand what it looks like when you have things that are just a little bit better off. You're going to learn that every single time that you come back from hanging out with that person, you're invigorated. Fuck a cup of coffee, man. Like, this kind of stuff will send you to the moon and back again. It will fire you up. It will inspire you. And that's what a lot of people need. People need inspiration. They don't necessarily need motivation, because inspiration is when you say, I bet I could do a lot of the stuff that guy's doing. And then you find out one day that you can even do it better than that person. That's what you need, is you need a little bit of spark. That spark turns into a flame. That flame turns into a roaring blaze. And next thing you know, you're going to be the happiest motherfucker anybody's ever met, because you rolled the dice on your own life and you bet on yourself. Strength is never a weakness. Weakness is never a strength. Catch you guys later.